The first chain snapped with a sound like thunder splitting bone. Iron links exploded across the fortress courtyard. Soldiers scattered instantly. One shield crashed against a stone. Another warrior lost his footing while scrambling backward through muddy slush stained by old executions. Nobody screamed. Panic inside war strongholds never sounded loud. Terror became silent. The Alpha King's war beast lifted its enormous skull toward the storm-black sky while steam poured from its nostrils. Massive claws gouged trenches through granite. Ancient restraints wrapped around its torso began tearing apart one after another. A second chain burst. Then another. Commander Varric drew a silver blade so quickly sparks jumped from the scabbard. "Evacuate the lower gates!" he barked. Nobody moved. Because everyone already understood. Too late. The creature lunged. 3 guards vanished beneath black fur and flashing teeth. Blood sprayed across the frozen courtyard walls. One soldier hit the ground missing an arm. Another disappeared entirely beneath crushing jaws. The beast roared. Every torch along the fortress perimeter extinguished instantly. High above the chaos, standing upon the fortress balcony carved from obsidian, the Alpha King watched without expression. Kael Draven, conqueror of the Northern Territories, executioner of the Hollow Rebellion. The ruler's enemies are called the Wolf of Ashes. Even he did not descend the staircase. That alone terrified the generals more than the monster itself. Because Kael feared nothing. Except this. The beast smashed through another iron pillar. Its glowing eyes searched the crowd. Hungry. Furious. Searching for something nobody understood. Then movement appeared near the servant corridors. A girl stepped into the courtyard. Not noble. Not a warrior. Not a priestess. Plain gray clothing covered with soot. Thin wrists. Dust across her cheek. The kitchen servant should have fled like everyone else. Instead, she walked directly toward death. Several soldiers shouted warnings. Commander Varric cursed violently. Kael finally moved. One sharp step forward. The first sign of alarm anybody had ever witnessed from their king. The beast noticed her. Everything stopped. Massive claws froze against shattered stone. Breathing slowed. Those glowing eyes locked onto the servant girl. The courtyard waited. 1 heartbeat, 2. And 3. Then the monster charged. Generals reached for weapons. Archers lifted silver arrows. The servant girl did something impossible. She raised one hand. Not trembling. Not afraid. Calm. The beast skidded across a stone before her. A deafening growl shook the fortress walls. Then she bent down, and rubbed its stomach gently. Like comforting an exhausted hunting dog. Silence swallowed the entire courtyard. The creature collapsed beside her feet. Trembling. Whining. Recognizing her. And for the very first time since its capture 15 years earlier, the Alpha King's war beast bowed. Kael Draven stared down from the balcony. Because he knew exactly what that meant. The girl should not exist. Her name inside the fortress records was Mira. No surname. No bloodline. No pack mark. Nobody cared enough to ask whether the name even belonged to her. Servants vanished constantly within Black Hollow Fortress. Some froze during winter patrols. Others disappeared after angering nobles. Several ended beneath the training grounds where soldiers dumped bodies nobody intended to bury. Mira survived because she stayed invisible. Invisible people heard everything. She carried water through war meetings. She cleaned blood from execution chambers. She stitched torn banners while generals discussed invasions nearby. Nobody remembered she existed. That suited her perfectly. Except now every pair of eyes inside the fortress followed her. The war beast lay across the courtyard stones while she rested one hand against its enormous chest. Soldiers stood frozen. Nobody understood what they had witnessed. Least of all Kael. The Alpha King descended slowly from the balcony. Heavy boots echoed across stone steps. His black cloak dragged behind him like smoke. Mira refused to look upward. Never meet an Alpha's eyes unless invited. That rule kept servants alive. Yet the beast nudged against her hand again with a low rumble almost resembling affection. Commander Varric finally found his voice. "What are you?" Mira answered softly. "Hungry." Several guards exchanged confused looks. The monster lifted its head immediately at her voice. Kale stopped several feet away. Up close, he looked even more dangerous. Tall. Scar cutting across one eyebrow. Eyes colder than northern oceans. His presence alone pressed against the courtyard like invisible weight. Mira felt it. Every wolf did. Alpha dominance. Predatory authority. Ancient bloodline power. Yet strangely, the beast beside her remained relaxed. Kale studied her face carefully. Too carefully. As if searching memory. "Leave us," he ordered. Nobody argued. Within seconds the courtyard emptied except for Commander Varric. Kale never repeated commands. The Alpha King crouched beside the beast. Slowly. Cautiously. The creature growled. Low. Threatening. Kale's eyes narrowed. "It still refuses my touch," he murmured. Mira finally glanced upward. Their eyes met. Instantly something strange passed through her chest. Not attraction. Not fear. Recognition. Ancient. Painful. Like remembering a nightmare from childhood. Kale felt it too. She saw the shift immediately. Small. Brief. Dangerous. "What did you do to it?" he asked. "Nothing. That creature slaughtered 47 men after capture." Mira stroked the beast's neck gently. "It was frightening." Commander Varric nearly laughed. "Frightened?" The war beast turned instantly toward him. One growl silenced the commander. Kale remained focused entirely upon Mira. "Where were you born?" The question arrived too quickly. Too sharp. Mira lowered her gaze. "I don't remember." A lie. She remembered everything. Fire. Screaming. Moonlight stained red. A woman running through snow carrying her. Massive claws. Silver spears. Then darkness. Kale stood again. "Bring her to the upper halls." Varric frowned. "She's merely—" "I know exactly what she is not," Kale interrupted coldly. His gaze never left Mira. "What I intend to discover is what she actually might be." Far beyond the fortress walls, hidden beneath mountain caverns untouched by sunlight, something ancient suddenly opened its eyes. The upper halls of Black Hollow Fortress rarely welcomed servants. Those corridors belonged to generals, diplomats, executioners, royal bloodlines. Mira noticed immediately how silent everything felt there. No laughter. No warmth. Only strategy. Power. Suspicion. Varric escorted her personally. That alone caused whispers among passing guards. The commander hated weakness. Everyone knew that. He studied Mira constantly during the walk. "You're hiding something," she continued forward. "Everyone here hides something." Unexpectedly, Varric smirked. First expression resembling amusement she had seen from him. "Fair answer." They stopped outside massive iron doors. 2 royal guards opened them immediately. Kale waited inside. No throne. No ceremony. Instead, maps covered every wall. Military routes. Pack borders. Supply lines. War planning. The Alpha King stood beside a large cage built directly into the chamber floor. Empty now. Yet claw marks covered the metal. Myra's stomach tightened. "The beast lived here?" Kale noticed her reaction. "Yes." "That's cruel." Varric scoffed. "It killed villages." Mira looked toward the claw marks again. "No," she whispered. "It was searching." Silence followed. Kale approached slowly. "How would you know that?" Because she remembered golden eyes watching flames consume her childhood home. Because she remembered giant paws protecting her from silver arrows. Because she remembered sleeping beside warm black fur during snowstorms. But saying those truths aloud felt dangerous. Instead, she answered carefully. "Animals don't destroy without reason." Varric crossed his arms. "That thing isn't an animal." Kale finally spoke the truth nobody outside royal circles understood. "It isn't entirely a wolf either." Mira lifted her gaze. "Interesting." Kale continued. 15 years ago my father led an expedition into the Shadow Wilds. Even hearing the name chilled the room. The Shadow Wilds existed beyond mapped territories. Ancient forests. Ruined temples. Creatures older than kingdoms. Kale's voice darkened. They returned with the beast chained behind silver wagons. What happened there? Mira asked. Kale paused. For years my father refused discussing it. Why? Because everybody who entered those forests died. Mira felt cold spread through her spine. Everybody. Except for one child. Kale moved closer. When the creature saw you today, it recognized something. Mira stepped backward instinctively. Wrong move. Kale noticed immediately. Predators always notice fear. You know what it is? No. Another lie. Kale's eyes sharpened. Then suddenly the chamber doors burst open. A messenger entered breathless. Your Majesty, the Eastern Border Pacts demand an audience immediately. Kale frowned. Regarding? The beast. Varek cursed quietly. The messenger swallowed hard. They heard rumors already. Of course they had. News traveled fast among wolves. Especially impossible news. Kale glanced toward Mira. Something calculating moved behind his expression. Not curiosity anymore. Strategy. And that frightened her far more. By sunset, Black Hollow Fortress swarmed with visiting alphas. Mira watched from servant corridors while noble warriors crossed the main hall draped in furs and jewels. Every pack leader carried armed escorts. Nobody trusted anybody. That was northern politics. Temporary alliances. Permanent ambition. The Eastern Territories feared Kale's growing empire already. Rumors about the war beast becoming obedient threatened balance completely. An obedient monster changed wars. Changed kingdoms. Changed rulers. Mira understood immediately why Kale kept her hidden inside upper chambers. If rival packs learned she controlled the creature somehow, they would either weaponize her or kill her. Probably both. A servant entered carrying fresh clothing. Orders from the king, she muttered nervously. Mira stared at the garments. Dark blue fabric. Clean. Expensive. Not servant attire. I can't wear this. The king says otherwise. That answer settled everything. Hours later, Mira stood near the edge of the royal hall while nobles filled enormous stone tables beneath hanging chandeliers made from wolf bones. Music played softly. Nobody danced. Northern courts rarely celebrated peacefully. They evaluated weakness. Kale sat upon the obsidian throne at the far end. Several alphas argued openly. The creature belongs destroyed. It belongs controlled. No beast should obey one ruler exclusively. Mira recognized greed instantly. Not fear. Greed. Then somebody noticed her. A noblewoman wrapped in crimson silk narrowed her eyes. Why is a servant standing beside the throne? The room quieted. Kale answered before anybody else. She's under royal protection. Shock moved across several faces. Protection from the Alpha King himself meant status. Importance. Danger. The noblewoman smiled thinly. Interesting. Mira disliked her immediately. Lady Seraphine. Daughter of the Southern Territories. Future political bride candidate. Beautiful. Cruel. Smart enough to hide both. Seraphine studied Mira carefully. What talent earns royal attention? Before Mira answered, deep roaring echoed through distant corridors. The war beast. Instant tension spread across the hall. Kale rose instantly. Another roar followed. Different. Pain. Mira felt her chest tighten. Without thinking, she moved. Fast. Toward the sound. Several guards attempted stopping her. Kale raised one hand. Let her pass. Mira ran through fortress corridors until reaching underground holding chambers. The beast thrashed violently against reinforced chains. Blood covered the floor. 3 handlers stood dead nearby. Silver darts protruded from the creature's neck. Poison. Mira knelt beside the beast immediately. Easy. The monster whimpered. Not from rage. Agony. Footsteps thundered behind her as Kale and his guards arrived. Mira touched one dart carefully. Her expression darkened. This wasn't accidental. Kale's voice became lethal. Explain. Someone wanted it uncontrollable tonight. The beast's eyes suddenly fixed beyond her shoulder. Growling. Mira turned. Lady Seraphine stood inside the doorway, smiling. Too calm. Far too calm. That night Mira couldn't sleep. Rain hammered against fortress windows while thunder rolled across mountain peaks. Inside her chamber, candlelight flickered beside untouched food. The attempted poisoning haunted her thoughts. Not because somebody attacked the beast. Because the creature recognized danger before she did. Again. A knock interrupted silence. Cale entered without waiting. Kings rarely requested permission. He closed the door quietly behind him. No guards. Interesting. You accused Seraphine. I implied possibility. Why? Mira studied him carefully. You already suspect her. Cale said nothing. Confirmation enough. Rain shadows moved across his face while he approached the window. She wants marriage. Most nobles do. She wants the throne. Same thing. Unexpected amusement flickered briefly across Cale's expression. Then vanished. She asked too many questions about the beast before tonight. Mira crossed her arms. So arrest her. Without proof? Her father commands 30,000 warriors. Politics again. Always politics. Cale glanced toward her suddenly. You speak like somebody educated beyond servant work. Dangerous observation. Mira looked away. Silence stretched. Then Cale spoke softly. When I was young, my father forbade everybody from entering the lower cages. Mira listened carefully. He said the beast carried ancient curses. Another thunder crack echoed outside. One night I ignored him. Cale rarely discussed childhood. Even servants knew that. I found the creature wounded after another experiment. Something cold entered his voice. My father enjoyed testing pain tolerance. Mira felt anger instantly. The beast had endured torture. Years of it. Cale continued. I touched the cage. What happened? It tried killing me. No surprise there. Yet Cale's eyes remained distant. Before attacking, it said a word. Mira froze. The beast spoke? Cale watched her reaction carefully. You already knew. Not a question. Mira cursed internally. Too slow. What word? She asked quietly. Cale answered immediately. Liriana. The room spun. Nobody had spoken that name aloud for 15 years. Her real name. Mira stepped backward instinctively. Cale moved instantly. Not threatening. Blocking escape. Who are you? Memories crashed through her mind. A woman kneeling before flames. Run, Liriana! Massive black fur protecting her. Silver soldiers surrounding trees. A king wearing draven armor. Cale's father. Mira, Liriana, lifted trembling eyes toward Cale. You should ask what your family did inside the Shadow Wilds. For the first time since entering Black Hollow Fortress, the Alpha King looked genuinely unsettled. Cale demanded answers. Liriana refused. The tension between them thickened over the following days like gathering storms. Meanwhile, rumors spread throughout the fortress. Servants whispered that the mysterious girl controlled monsters. Soldiers claimed the beast protected her chamber every night. Nobles believed Cale discovered some forgotten royal weapon. Nobody guessed the truth. Not entirely. Deep beneath the fortress, Liriana sat beside the war beast while moonlight filtered through iron bars. The creature rested peacefully near her. Enormous. Scarred. Ancient. You remember me, don't you? She whispered. Golden eyes opened slowly. The beast pressed its head gently against her shoulder. Emotion tightened her throat. You carried me through the forest. A low rumble answered. Liriana closed her eyes. I thought everyone died. The beast suddenly lifted its head. Alert. Footsteps approached. Cale emerged from corridor shadows. You speak differently around it. Liriana did in turn. It listens. So do I. Dangerous statement. Cale stepped closer. I searched the northern archives tonight. Silence. There was once a pack living inside the Shadow Wilds. Liriana's heartbeat quickened. The Linares bloodline, Cale continued quietly. Historians claim they vanished centuries ago. They lied. Cale watched her carefully. Who were they really? Liriana finally faced him. Not a servant anymore. Not invisible. Guardians. The beast growled softly beside her. Of what? She hesitated. Then answered. Something your father tried stealing. Kale's expression hardened. My father conquered kingdoms. He didn't chase myths. You keep telling yourself that. Anger flashed across his face. Liriana continued before he interrupted. The Shadow Wilds protected ancient gateways older than wolf kingdoms. Kale remained silent. Listening. Good. My people guarded those places because creatures slept beneath them. The beast shifted uneasily. Monsters? Kale asked. Worse. She remembered screams beneath burning trees. Your father wanted power buried there. Kale's jaw tightened. What did he awaken? Liriana looked toward the beast. It. Silence consumed the chamber. Then Kale asked the question she feared most. And you? Liriana's voice barely rose above a whisper. I was supposed to become its keeper. Far beyond fortress walls, hidden within snowy mountains, Lady Seraphine met secretly with hooded figures carrying silver insignias. The girl remembers, she warned. One hooded man smiled coldly. Then the final survivor must disappear before the next moon rises. The assassination attempt arrived during breakfast. Elegant. Subtle. Professional. Liriana noticed poison immediately. Not through scent. Through silence. Servants avoided looking directly at her tray. Fear always betrays hidden orders. She stood calmly from the table. Across the hall, Kale discussed military routes with generals. Nobody noticed danger yet. Liriana picked up the silver goblet. Then deliberately poured the wine across white marble. Stone hissed instantly. Every conversation stopped. Commander Varek reached for his sword. Kale rose slowly. Who prepared this meal? Nobody answered. One servant suddenly ran toward the exit. Varek intercepted him instantly. Too late. The servant collapsed mid-stride. Dead before hitting the floor. Poison capsule hidden beneath tongue. Professional indeed. Kale's expression turned murderous. Seal the fortress. Chaos erupted immediately. Guards stormed corridors. Nobles shouted accusations. Liriana remained strangely calm. Because she already understood something important. Whoever wanted her dead feared what she remembered. That meant answers still existed. Hours later, Kale entered the strategy chamber carrying old documents. I found this hidden beneath my father's archives. He handed her a burned journal. Liriana's pulse quickened instantly. Lenara's symbols covered the pages. Her mother's handwriting. How did your father get this? Kale remained silent. Bad sign. Liriana opened the journal carefully. Most pages burned beyond recognition. Except one. A map. The Shadow Wilds. And beneath it, one sentence. When the gate opens, only the blood heir may command the guardian. Kale read the line over her shoulder. The guardian means the beast. No. Liriana's face drained completely. The beast was protecting the real guardian. A cold silence settled inside the room. Kale looked toward her sharply. What gate? Before she answered, the fortress alarms began ringing. Not battle alarms. Ancient bells buried beneath the mountain. Deep. Heavy. Forgotten. The war beast roared from below. Terrified. Liriana whispered one horrifying realization. Black Hollow Fortress had existed for 400 years. Nobody questioned why it was built directly into the mountainside. Nobody wondered why underground corridors extended deeper than mines. Nobody asked why ancient symbols lined hidden tunnels beneath the royal chambers. Kings preferred obedient subjects. Questions created rebellion. Kale led Liriana through sealed corridors carrying torches while Varek and elite guards followed closely behind. The deeper they descended, the colder the air became. Not natural cold. Something older. Something breathing. The ancient bells continued ringing somewhere below. Liriana's heartbeat matched the rhythm. She remembered those sounds. Childhood nightmares flooded back. We should turn around, one guard muttered. Nobody disagreed. Kale continued forward anyway. Eventually the tunnel opened into an enormous, underground chamber. Everyone stopped. Massive stone pillars surrounded a black abyss stretching endlessly downward. Strange blue fire burned inside wall carvings. And at the center stood colossal doors. Ancient. Covered in claw marks. Lunara's symbols spread across the surface like warnings. Liriana approached slowly. Her hands trembled. This place. Kale studied the doors. My father knew about this chamber. Obviously. Yet he never opened it. Liriana touched the carvings carefully. No, she whispered. He tried. Silver scratches covered the lock mechanisms. Failed attempts. Desperate attempts. Then they heard breathing. Deep. Heavy. Behind the doors. Several guards backed away immediately. The war beast suddenly emerged from the tunnel behind them. Not aggressive. Protective. It positioned itself beside Liriana while staring at the doors. Kale noticed something strange. The creature looked afraid. What's inside? He asked quietly. Liriana answered honestly. I don't know anymore. The bells stopped ringing. Silence crashed across the chamber. Then the doors moved. Slowly. By themselves. Blue fire extinguished instantly. Darkness swallowed the chamber. One guard screamed. Something dragged him into the abyss. Blood splashed across the stone. The remaining soldiers formed defensive positions immediately. Too late. Eyes appeared within the darkness. Dozens. Not wolf eyes. Human-shaped figures began climbing upward from the abyss walls. Thin. Twisted. Wrong. Kale drew his blade. What in the hell are those? Liriana's voice shook. Failed guardians. Then the creatures attacked. A battle inside the underground chamber became slaughter instantly. Silver blades barely slowed the creatures. They moved unnaturally fast across walls and pillars. One guard vanished screaming into darkness. Another lost his throat before lifting a shield. Kale fought like living destruction. His sword severed limbs. Crushed skulls. Yet more creatures kept emerging. Liriana grabbed a fallen torch. Fire! She shouted. The war beast lunged beside her, tearing through attackers while Kale ordered remaining soldiers into tighter formation. One creature reached Liriana. Too close. Its face looked almost human. Almost. Sunken eyes. Split jaw. Ancient hunger. It hissed one word. Air. Then the beast crushed it beneath massive claws. Kale heard that. His gaze snapped toward Liriana. Questions later. Survival first. Suddenly the underground doors opened completely. A pulse of black energy exploded outward. Every creature froze instantly. Then bowed. Something emerged slowly from the darkness beyond. Tall. Wrapped in shadows. Not entirely solid. Its eyes burned silver. Liriana stopped breathing. No! The figure smiled. Little moon air. Kale stepped protectively before her. Interesting instinct. The shadow figure laughed softly. You smell exactly like your mother. Liriana's hands clenched. You killed her. Incorrect. Its silver gaze shifted toward Kale. His father did. Silence struck harder than battle. Kale's expression darkened immediately. The figure continued. King Aldrich Draven believed he could control forbidden gates. The shadow creature walked slowly across the chamber while failed guardians bowed around it. He murdered your people searching for immortality. Kale said nothing. Because deep down, he already suspected the truth. The shadow creature stopped before Liriana. And now the heir survives. The war beast growled viciously. Protective. Terrified. The shadow figure smiled wider. Still loyal after all these years. Kale tightened his sword grip. What are you? The creature looked toward him. Your kingdom's original ruler. Every surviving guard froze. Impossible. Ancient legends spoke of the first wolf kings making bargains beneath mountains. Nobody believed those stories. The shadow figure spread dark claws slowly. Open the gate fully, heir, and I shall return everything stolen from you. Liriana stared silently. Because part of her wanted to listen. They escaped the underground chamber barely alive. 3 guards survived. Varric carried severe wounds across his shoulder. The war beast bled from dozens of cuts. Yet none of that disturbed Kale most. His father murdered an entire bloodline. His kingdom existed above imprisoned horrors. And the servant girl inside his fortress carried ancient power tied directly to everything. By dawn, Black Hollow Fortress transformed into controlled panic. Soldiers fortified gates. Priests burned protective sigils. Nobles demanded immediate departure. Kale ignored everybody. Inside the strategy chamber, he confronted Liriana alone. That creature knew you. Yes. It called you heir. Yes. Kale slammed one hand against the table. What exactly are you? Liriana met his anger calmly. The last Moonblood. Silence. Then she finally told him everything. The Linares bloodline protected gateways imprisoning ancient entities long before modern pacts existed. Their abilities weren't ordinary wolf traits. Moonblood heirs communicated with guardians, controlled barriers, maintained seals. When Kale's father invaded the Shadow Wilds searching for immortality, he slaughtered the Linares guardianship. Except one child escaped. Liriana. Kale listened without interruption. Dangerous again. Quiet men often exploded hardest. When the bloodline died, Liriana finished softly. The seals weakened. Kale stared toward the maps covering his walls. My father doomed the kingdom. Yes. No comfort. No softness. Truth. Kale respected the truth. Even the painful truth. Then Liriana revealed the worst part. The underground gate isn't the only one. Kale's eyes sharpened instantly. How many exist? 7. And their condition? Liriana hesitated. Unknown. The Alpha King looked suddenly exhausted. Not physically. Mentally. An empire built upon lies. A father remembered as conqueror instead of butcher. Monsters awakening beneath mountains. Then another realization struck him. If rival pacts learn this, war, Liriana answered immediately. Exactly. Weak kingdoms attracted predators. And somebody inside the fortress already worked against them. As if summoned by thought, the chamber doors opened. Lady Seraphine entered elegantly. Smiling. Your Majesty, she purred. There's been another death. Kale's expression hardened. Who? Seraphine looked directly toward Liriana. The servant who delivered poison yesterday. Liriana narrowed her eyes. Interesting wording. Not the poisoner. The servant. Like Seraphine already knew details nobody announced publicly. Kale noticed too. The room suddenly felt dangerous. Then Seraphine added softly. He managed to say one name before dying. Silence. Yours. She pointed directly at Liriana. Arresting Liriana publicly would calm the nobles. Kale refused. That single decision changed everything. By evening, rumors spread through the fortress like disease. Some claimed Liriana bewitched the beast. Others whispered she controlled dark magic from beneath the mountain. Several nobles demanded execution. Meanwhile, Kale quietly ordered Varek to investigate Seraphine instead. Smart. Dangerous. Too late. Because Seraphine already moved first. That night, assassins entered Liriana's chamber. Professional killers. Silent. Fast. One never reached the bed. The war beast crashed through the stone wall before blades touched fabric. Chaos exploded instantly. Massive claws tore one assassin apart. Another tried fleeing. Liriana intercepted him with surprising speed. Moonlight flashed across silver eyes. Not ordinary eyes anymore. Moonblood awakening. She grabbed the assassin's throat. Who sent you? The killer smirked through blood. The gate must open. Then poison killed him instantly. Again. Kale arrived moments later with guards. He stopped cold upon seeing the destroyed chamber. And Liriana. Her eyes still glowing faintly silver. The Alpha King dismissed everybody immediately. When alone, he asked quietly. What happened to your eyes? Liriana looked away. They change near active gates. Kale studied her carefully. You're changing. So is the world. The war beast growled low beside them. Something approached. Kale sensed it too. Battle instincts sharpened instantly. Then fortress alarms screamed again. Not from underground. From the outer walls. An army stood beyond the gates. Southern banners. Seraphine's father had arrived, with 30,000 warriors, and one demand. Surrender the Moonblood heir. Snow fell heavily across the mountains while war drums echoed through the valley below Black Hollow Fortress. Torches stretched endlessly beyond the walls. Seraphine's father came prepared. Catapults. Silver-tipped ballistae. Priests. Execution wagons. Not negotiation. Extermination. Kale stood upon the battlements beside Liriana while soldiers prepared defenses. She betrayed us days ago, Varric muttered. No, Liriana corrected quietly. She infiltrated you long before meeting me. Kale's expression darkened. True again. Seraphine hadn't pursued marriage. She pursued access. To the gates. To the beast. To ancient power buried beneath the mountain. A horn sounded below. Lord Vaylor rode forward beneath southern banners. Seraphine beside him. Beautiful. Cold. Victorious. Vaylor's amplified voice echoed upward. Deliver the Moonblood heir and this fortress survives. Kale answered instantly. No. No hesitation. Interesting. Vaylor smiled. Then your kingdom dies with her. The siege began at sunset. Flaming projectiles crashed against fortress walls. Silver arrows filled the sky. Chaos spread through corridors while soldiers fought across battlements. Liriana joined the defense despite protests. She refused to hide. Not anymore. During battles she noticed strange things. The war beast anticipated enemy attacks before they happened. The underground bells rang beneath her feet whenever southern priests approached certain sections. And Kale. Kale fought like somebody punishing himself. Not merely enemies. Himself. Guilt sharpened every movement. Then midnight arrived. And with it, betrayal. One fortress gate opened from inside. Southern warriors flooded through. Black Hollow descended into massacre. Varric cursed violently. Traitor among the guards! Too many possibilities. Too little time. Liriana felt sudden pain explode behind her eyes. Visions. The underground gate. Opening wider. Shadow creatures climbing upward. The siege was a distraction. Real danger waited below. She grabbed Kale immediately. They're trying to reach the chamber. Kale understood instantly. Vaylor knows about the gate. Exactly. The Southern Army never intended to conquer the fortress. They intended to open what slept beneath it. And somewhere within the chaos. Seraphine smiled. Fighting consumed every level of Black Hollow Fortress. Steel clashed against steel. Fire spread through lower corridors. Dying screams echoed endlessly. Yet beneath all that chaos, another sound emerged. The underground bells. Louder. Faster. The gate is weakening. Kale ordered Varric to hold the battlements while he and Liriana descended below with the war beast. The underground tunnels already crawled with bodies. Guards. Southern soldiers. Priests. Something else. Failed guardians. They escaped the abyss somehow. One creature crawled across the ceiling toward them. The beast tore it apart instantly. They reached the underground chamber moments too late. The colossal doors stood open. And Seraphine waited beside the abyss. Silver fire illuminated her face. No longer pretending. You should have surrendered her, she told Kale calmly. Dead priests surrounded the chamber. Sacrifices. Liriana realized the truth immediately. You used blood rituals. Seraphine smiled. The old powers require offerings. Kale raised his blade. You're insane. No, Seraphine answered softly. Ambitious. The shadow entity emerged behind her slowly. Larger now. Stronger. Its silver eyes fixed upon Liriana. The heir returns exactly as prophecy promised. Liriana stepped backward instinctively. Then Seraphine spoke of the final betrayal. Your father wasn't merely searching for immortality, Kale. Silence. He made a bargain. Kale's face hardened. The shadow creature laughed. Aldrich Draven traded the Linares bloodline for power. Liriana felt sick. Seraphine continued. And the bargain remains unfinished. The entity stretched dark claws toward Liriana. Her blood opens the final seal. Everything clicked together. The assassinations. The poisoning. The siege. They never wanted Liriana dead. They wanted her desperate enough to activate her powers completely. Moonblood awakening opened gates. Kale realized it too. His expression changed instantly. Fear. Not for himself. For her. The shadow entity smiled wider. Choose air. The abyss trembled. Open the final gate willingly, or watch this kingdom drown in monsters. Then thousands of glowing eyes appeared beneath the darkness. Waiting. Hungry. Ancient. Liriana walked toward the abyss. Kale grabbed her wrist immediately. No. Simple word. Heavy meaning. Liriana met his gaze. If the gate breaks completely, everyone dies. We'll find another way. There isn't one. The shadow entity watched them silently. Amused. Seraphine stepped closer. You cannot stop destiny. Liriana looked toward her. No, she agreed softly. But I can choose whose destiny survives. Then she did something unexpected. She approached the war beast. The creature lowered its massive head instantly. Trembling. Loyal. Liriana pressed her forehead gently against its fur. I remember now, she whispered. Fragments flooded back. Her mother speaks beside moonlit ruins. The guardian does not obey blood. It obeys sacrifice. The beast wasn't merely a protector. It was a prison key. Liriana turned toward the abyss. Silver light suddenly spread across her skin. Moonblood fully awakened. The underground chamber shook violently. The shadow entity stopped smiling. Interesting. You misunderstand your role. It warned. No, Liriana answered. I finally understand yours. She raised one glowing hand. The war beast roared. Not in rage. Command. Every failed guardian froze instantly. The entity's silver eyes narrowed. Impossible. Kale realized first. The beast controls them. Exactly. The guardian never protected the gate. It ruled the creatures imprisoned beyond it. And Liriana ruled the guardian. Seraphine screamed for priests. Too late. The war beast charged. Massive claws tore through failed guardians while silver light exploded from Liriana's hands. The underground doors began closing. Slowly. Painfully. The shadow entity lunged toward her. Kale was intercepted instantly. Steel met darkness. The impact shattered stone pillars. Kale fought knowing he could not truly kill it. Only delay. Still he fought. Because sometimes delaying evil long enough mattered. Seraphine grabbed a hidden blade and rushed Liriana from behind. Without you, nobody controls the gate. Desperation ruined elegance. Liriana turned calmly. Then the war beast moved. One strike. Seraphine vanished beneath enormous claws. Silence followed. The shadow entity roared furiously. The doors continued closing. But not fast enough. Creatures kept climbing upward. Kale shouted above the chaos. What do you need? Liriana's eyes filled with sorrow. The guardian must remain inside when the gate seals. Kale looked toward the beast. Then toward her. Understanding struck instantly. No. The war beast nudged against Liriana gently. Except the underground chamber collapsed around them. Stone pillars shattered. The abyss roared. Silver light consumed everything. Liriana struggled keeping the doors moving while failed guardians clawed desperately through narrowing gaps. The war beast positioned itself before the opening, holding them back. Dying slowly. Kale reached Liriana through falling debris. There has to be another way. She shook her head. Tears mixed with silver light across her face. My people knew this day would come. The beast roared again. Several creatures dragged it toward the abyss. Still it fought. Still it is protected. Kale stared at the monster differently now. Not a weapon. Not curse. Guardian. A loyal creature imprisoned for human greed. Liriana whispered ancient words beneath her breath. Moonblood symbols ignited across the chamber floor. The shadow entity screamed suddenly. Real fear. You cannot seal me forever. Maybe not forever, Liriana answered. But long enough. The doors nearly shut. The war beast looked toward her one final time. Golden eyes. Gentle. Thankful. Then it charged directly into the abyss, carrying dozens of creatures with it. The doors slammed shut. Silence exploded across the chamber. Everything stopped. No bells. No creatures. No roaring. Only dust settling through cold air. Liriana collapsed instantly. Kale caught her before she hit the stone. For several terrifying seconds she didn't move. Then slowly, she breathed. Alive. Barely. Kale carried her from the collapsing chamber while Black Hollow Fortress burned above them. By dawn, the siege ended. Southern forces retreated after Seraphine's death. The underground gate was sealed. The kingdom survived. But survival carried consequences. Because thousands witnessed strange silver light erupting beneath the mountain. Rumors would spread. And kingdoms feared what they could not control. Weeks later, snow melted across northern valleys while Black Hollow rebuilt. Liriana stood upon the fortress balcony staring toward distant mountains. Kale approached quietly. You're leaving? Not a question. She nodded. The other gates still exist. Kale leaned against the stone railing. You plan on guarding them alone? I was born for it. Silence stretched between them. Not uncomfortable. Heavy. Honest. Finally Kale spoke. My father destroyed your world. Yes. I can't undo that. No. Another silence. Then Liriana looked toward him fully. But you can choose what kind of king survives after him. Kale absorbed those words quietly. No promises. No dramatic declarations. Only the truth. Sometimes truth mattered more. Then distant howling echoed from the mountains. Deep. Familiar. Liriana froze. Impossible. Kale heard it too. Another howl answered. Not one voice. Many. Far beyond the northern cliffs, hidden within snow-covered forests untouched by kingdoms, golden eyes opened beneath ancient trees. The guardian was never alone. And somewhere beneath the frozen earth, another gate began trembling. Waiting. 3 months later, Kale uncovered a hidden chamber beneath his father's private quarters. Inside stood 7 black crowns arranged in a circle. One for each gate. And carved into the stone floor beneath them. The first king was never human. Then Kale found the final journal entry. Written by his father. Shaking handwriting. Desperate. If the Moonblood heir survives, do not let her discover what sleeps beyond the 7th gate. Beneath the message rested a map. One location marked in fresh ink. Not the north. Not the Shadow Wilds. Black Hollow Fortress itself. Kale stared downward slowly. Because the 7th gate had never been beneath the mountain. It was beneath the throne. If you enjoyed this dark fantasy journey, subscribe now before the next gate opens. Because Liriana's story is far from over, and the thing sleeping beneath the throne has been waiting far longer than the kingdom remembers. Comment below. Would you trust the Alpha King after learning what his bloodline truly did? And if you want the next chapter, make sure you return before the 7th gate awakens.